Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley. I wanted to talk about Netflix because I've been watching some Netflix. And I really wanted to talk about two things. Grumpy child. The first, Divergent. The Divergent series. They never made a part 2 of the last one because people hated it. I'm bummed because I loved it. Divergent, though, was pretty fascinating to me. Technically, this would be a Movie Monday or Monday movie. I don't remember. I always get that wrong. But it's what, Thursday? Anyway. So Divergent was pretty fascinating. If you haven't watched it, I highly suggest you should. It's all about, like, this faction system, which kind of reminded me of Hunger Games. These are, like, post-apocalyptic, like, global war movies. And this is, like, the new order that happens after the fact. But the folks who are Divergent, so there's a faction system where, remember, these are spoilers, okay? We do spoilers over here, because I need to talk about it. Hang on, I gotta take this pancake out. So anyway, it's all about how there's like 5 different factions, which again is just like Hunger Games. There's 12 different districts, right? And then the children have to choose what faction they want to be in, which again, Hunger Games targets children. I just find this shit fascinating. And again, it's all about peace and order, right? Peace and order. That's what they constantly say, which is not far-fetched from the system that we're currently living in, right? Which is not peaceful at all, right? And especially when preying upon children, right? Like, that's the thing that we need to understand as a collective. And I mentioned this a few collective coffees ago, maybe yesterday, I don't know. But as long as we are preying on children and taking the pureness and innocence from them, the world's always going to be a shit show, okay? That's what we need to stop doing. Like, we, as in all of us, right? Like, anytime we're around children, we need to allow children to be children, things like that, right? It's not about obedience or control, but that's what these movies are about, which is why I think it's so fascinating, because it's easier for people, again, to separate reality from fiction, right? For some reason, people don't see fiction as a current reality. I don't know why. But anyway, this was a fascinating series. I really appreciated it. I liked it a lot. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is because Divergence, this movie came out a long time ago. I'm new to Netflix, okay? So I'm probably telling you things that you've known for a decade. But anyway, neurodivergence is where I'm going with this. And I just see so many parallels with that, because people who are neurodivergent in our society, right, are very looked down upon, which was the same in this movie. And ultimately, it was the Divergents who saved shit. So I'm just gonna put that there. I think it's fascinating. I think that, like, my child is a neurodivergent child. I'm neurodivergent, obviously. But I was tried to, I mean, the system, I resonate so heavily with these female protagonists, both Katniss and Triss is her name in Divergent. I really, really resonate heavily with them because I was also tried to be, I wasn't tried, they incarcerated me several times, tried to, you know, pacify me and mute me by putting medications in my body, and things like that. I also want to say that I think that the technology that happens in both of these movies, both Hunger Games, I already did a really big overview of the Hunger Games for the Movie Monday series. I think they're free again on YouTube. But anyway, the technology is fascinating to me because, especially in like the third series of the Divergence, what was it, Allegiance, I think, or Allegiant, the technology and like the futuristic way of life is just super fascinating. But again, ultimately, it's all about preying on children, right? Interesting. So we are experiencing that in real life, the preying of children, right? And I'm not talking about like, let's pray for them. I'm talking about like birds of prey, right? Like killing children. And that within itself is such an interesting, there's a word for the word I'm looking for. Interesting, whatever, I don't know, semblance. So anyway, the other movie, or the other show I just started watching is Discovery of Witches. And I find it really fascinating. But I want to say something really important about all of these shows, and it's not just these two shows, it's also Outlander. I had to stop watching Outlander after the last couple episodes. I couldn't handle the trauma that was happening, so I can't watch it anymore. I have no desire to see the flashbacks of the trauma. It's too traumatic for me. But anyway, these protagonists that are females are always getting pregnant, and then I just really want to speak on that. I don't think that's happened in the Discovery of Witches yet, but they have gone back into time, just like Outlander, which is why I made that connection, because they're trying to hide from the congregation, which is like the governing body. I mean, come on, there's so many parallels in all of these movies and shows, and it's ultimately the governing bodies are all corrupt, right? They're preying on children, but then like all of these fiction shows are limiting women to pregnancy. And I am in my motherhood stage of life, as we know, but I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to become a mother again. I'm only a mother to one. And I think what I've noticed is just, it's all of these videos, or all of these shows, the women get pregnant, and it's just, like, that's where the producers and directors want the women to stay, you know, like in their place, like, oh, you're just here to make children, right? And I just think it's super interesting because that shit is so subliminal, but it has been show after movie after show after movie, like Gilmore Girls, right? Like the very, very end that Netflix put on, fucking Rory, the very last thing she says is, I'm pregnant. We do spoilers here. Stop it, get away from the pancakes. And I just think it's kind of fascinating, because for all of those like white liberals who are talking about Handmaid's Tale and stuff, it's like you're already being like so indoctrinated into that. And then it's also like, I don't know, my personal belief is like, why are we continuing to make more children for them to like prey on? And I wish I would have not. I should probably stop talking about that. To each their own, truly, but also women are more than just baby makers. And that's my point, is like all of these shows limit women to just that. They get pregnant and the show's over, right? That's the season finale, or, you know, that it's just fascinating to me because it's just, whenever there's a female protagonist, she ends up pregnant. Oh, Virgin River, that's the other one. There's like so many pregnancies in that show, and it's just like, wow. That's crazy. So I just wanted to put this shit here. Remember to critically think, even when you're, you know, mindlessly, what's the word? I don't know. Even when you're enjoying entertainment, it's important to critically think, and you can enjoy and also critically think. Those two things are allowed to like exist together. But yeah, Discovery of Witches I think is really fascinating, because I think what I find fascinating about both that and Outlander is the way that women were treated, and the way that it is, like also just witchcraft in Discovery of Witches. I love this show. I myself practice magic, so I really appreciate it, so far. But I just want to alert you to pay attention to these patterns. and notice them. There you go, baby. When they come up, because that's how they keep us controlled, right? So, running through the notes again, women are supposed to just have kids, and then the government and systems of power can just prey on the children, and that's the vicious cycle. But that's our reality, and what are we gonna do to change it, right? So, okay, have a good one.